there are a small sliver of businesses which are basically monopolies or oligopolies, and they have very strong competitive advantages. And then there's an overwhelming majority of businesses which are basically really tough businesses to be in. And so 99% of capitalism is these really tough businesses. And maybe 1% or less is these, monopolies or, somehow insulated business. And Peter's point to his students was that there is no point following the masses of capitalists and either working at or founding a business that is dealing with all these competitive forces. We want to be sitting there with monopolies, and that's how we make a lot of money. And I think in investing too, basically what you're looking for is some kind of an edge that the business has that is an enduring edge. And if you can invest in a business which has that edge at a reasonable price, good things will happen to you. The monopolies, even if they are 1%, there's 50,000 listed businesses around the planet. So even at 1%, you would have 500 of these, awesome businesses. So actually identifying awesome businesses is not a problem. There are many, many great businesses around. Okay. I mean, Amazon's a great business, and Alphabet's a great business, and Microsoft's a great business. And what the Patels have done has been a great business. So actually great businesses all around us. And it's also not that hard to be able to tell that a business is great. And that's another point that Peter Thiel makes in his talk. He says that the monopolists go through extreme lengths to convince you that they are not a monopoly, that they exist in very competitive spaces, because they know that if they are a monopoly and they beat their chest about it, they will attract unwanted attention. I mean, like Facebook doesn't really want the US government to think it's a monopoly. And Google really doesn't want anyone to think it's a monopoly. So the monopolists try really hard to convince us, oh, poor me, I'm not a monopoly. Okay. And the loser 99% of competitive businesses go through extreme lengths to convince you that they are a monopoly. They try to convince you that I got the secret sauce. Look at me, I'm awesome. Okay. So the monopolists basically are telling you, I'm just Joe Public, man. I got nothing going on. Don't look here. Go keep walking. And the competitive ones are beating their chest, saying, no, come to me. I have this awesome business, and let me tell you why it's so awesome, right? But I think that for an investor to figure out whether a business is great or not, and whether it's a monopoly or not, is a relatively simple exercise. Not that hard to do. Because I think a simple thing you can do is if you make a list of all the products and services and places that you shop at, okay, you will find the overwhelming number of those are monopolies. Okay, so, do you use an iPhone? Guess what? It's a monopoly. Okay, do you shop at Amazon? Okay, and who sends you your utility bill? They're all monopolies. Okay, so identifying monopolies is relatively easy. You can identify them by looking at companies that you're really familiar with, that you're a customer of, a client, or whatever. The other way you can get to understanding a monopoly is looking at the numbers. Their financials will scream out and tell you, I'm a monopoly, even when they just want you to go away and not look at them. So it's not about finding great businesses. It's easy to find great businesses. It's about finding great investments. And the two are different. So once we identify that a business is great, That's awesome. We can collect a list of those. And then we have to go to the next level, which is try to find ones which somehow the market has not figured out. And somehow there's an aberration where the price does not reflect the great underlying economics. And then you're off to the races. Hallelujah. It's great. So that's what the game's all about. It's easy to sift the great from the not so great. But then the second piece, which is it a good investment from that subset list? That becomes a little bit harder. But as my guru and mentor behind me, Charlie Munger, likes to say, why should it be easy to get rich? Humans vacillate between fear and greed. As long as there are humans making investment decisions, we will have mispricing of securities. And the mispricing can be in both directions. They can be ridiculously overvalued, and they can be ridiculously undervalued. So from time to time, humans get very euphoric and they get really excited about certain assets and classes and such. And, they get overheated. And many times things are not of interest. So I would say that if one is a bargain hunter looking for great businesses that are underpriced, there's always a set of them somewhere that fit that criteria. The problem is that the ones that fit the criteria aren't the easiest ones to invest in or to actually even convince yourself. Okay? So we don't need to be very smart. We don't need high IQs. We don't need high grades from Oxford. We just need to have basic common sense. That's it.